Hey, ReyAnn, it looks like we are getting some participants, which is awesome. Welcome, everyone.
Oh yeah, I see that below. Very cool. Hello to everybody in the chat. I don't know if you guys, Shay, do they have access to the chat on the side?
Yep.
If you guys, everyone who's logged on right now, if you want to put your name and then maybe where you're from and if you're like why you're interested in this webinar or why you're interested in travel nursing, then I'll take a look at the chat. So for those of you who are maybe new to travel nursing or looking into it, oh, hi, Samara from Colombia. That's awesome. Welcome. For those of you guys who are interested in this webinar, obviously you guys are showing up because you're interested. We're going to be diving into like what travel nursing is, how to kind of create a profile, what like maybe your reason is for travel nursing, how important that is to know before you actually start travel nursing, how experience versus like the skills checklist that you do for travel nursing, how important it is to have the experience and confidence in your skill set. Oh, thank you, Kate, for joining. Roberta and Cynthia and Samara, thank you so much. Let's see let me read the comments here. Yeah, for sure. We're going to be talking about all things travel nursing basically today and how to get into it. All of my slides basically are like general information, and then there will be a Q&A at the end to talk about or to go into any questions that you guys have. Welcome, Carol from Las Vegas. That's awesome. I'm so happy that you guys are joining today. Travel nursing is such an amazing experience, an amazing opportunity for nurses across the board, especially for people who are burnt out or especially people who are looking for adventure. This is definitely a good opportunity. I know COVID has definitely changed the game for nursing. I see that rates are going up and down again. So the market's just all over the place right now, but that is just how travel nursing goes. So it'll be interesting to see what the market will look like as the vaccines are continued to be ruled out. Let's see. If you guys want to put your specialty in the comments as well, that could be a little bit helpful for me for questions for later. I can kind of tie that into what specialties are the most in demand, or what is really in demand right now, or what it could look like you in your career. Roberta, med surge, bless your soul, girl. Bless your soul. And education, that's awesome. And then Shay, how long are we keeping this open for people to join?
It's open the whole time, so you can go ahead and kick it off, and as extra people join, they can kind of catch up where we are, and you're free to go. We have about an hour.
I will give them a couple more minutes because it just hit like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, Kate. Okay, yeah. I mean, I forget that anyone can join this chat, or webinar. So yeah, if you have any nursing questions, just period. Travel nursing is definitely something that you'll be doing later on in your career because you can't necessarily start travel nursing straight out of being a grads or graduating from nursing school, it does take a little bit of time to get your experience, but cath lab is a really cool opportunity. I've actually thought about doing it a couple of times. An interesting specialty for sure. Lots to do with the heart, obviously. Let's see. So yeah, everyone who's on, thank you for joining. I'm gonna give them a couple more minutes. I know it just like the webinar just opened, so I just want to give people a little bit of time to pop on. And then also, everyone who's on towards the end, if you guys ever want to reach out to me, if you have any specific questions or just want to chat about nursing or whatever the situation is, please feel free to do so. I'll leave my information at the end on how to contact me. And then Shay, do you want to let them know like how the webinar is going to go, or did I kind of touch on most of it?
You touched on pretty much most of it, but you know, for the most part, we are just going to be covering travel nursing, the ins and outs, how to utilize NurseFly to get the most out of your job search experience. And then we have a little surprise for you guys at the end for kind of sticking around. So we definitely, we're going to get started here pretty soon. Looks like we've got lots of people joining. Like ReyAnn mentioned at the beginning, if you're just joining, go ahead and throw in into the chat, you know, where you're from, what your specialty is, why you're excited about this webinar. Any questions that you guys have throughout, you can throw in the chat as well. We'll do a Q&A at the end. But ReyAnn, if you want to go ahead and throw your PowerPoint up and get started, I think we're good to go.
I don't have access to the PowerPoint on mine. Do you want me to, I think.
Oh yeah, here, let me get it.
I was going to say, if not, pull it up from my email list. Ooh, Centra Meyer. I don't even know what all those acronyms are. I'm going to have to Google those later. WCCNLEIP. Oh yeah, Stephanie Garcia, ED in the house. Yeah, emergency department is my specialty. So I'll see you. Oh, and you're in Chicago. That's awesome.
Okay, I'm just getting it pulled up here. One second. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. All right. Can everyone see that okay?
Let's see. I'll try to keep the chat in the side. So I'm not going to be looking at the chat right away. I'll probably be looking through it towards the end. So if you do have any questions along the way, please feel free to put them on the side. And yeah, continue to put where you're from, your specialty, and any questions you have. So hi, everybody. Oh, sorry, Shay. Am I allowed to access the PowerPoint slide, or is that going to be all you?
You can take control of the mouse, but I'm happy to switch them when you're ready.
Okay, I don't see where I'm able to.
Remote control up at the top.
Oh, I see that. Okay, request, perfect.
There you go.
Oh. Okay, whoops. I don't know what is happening. Okay, hello everybody. Today we're going to be talking about, sorry, just a little bit of technical difficulties. We're going to be talking about travel nursing, how to create the lifestyle you want with work and travel. I have been travel nursing for about almost 2 years. I mean, I'm pushing it a little bit. July is when I hit my 2 years, so I'm kind of jumping the gun a little bit, but travel nursing has been such an amazing experience for me. I started in July of 2019. I'm originally from Santa Fe, New Mexico. I went to the University of New Mexico, where I did my nursing education, and I absolutely love that school. I miss it every single day. Weirdly, I miss nursing school. Don't hate me, don't at me for that, but I really do miss nursing school a bunch, not for the stress, but just for, good old college years. I did a year in general medicine and 6 months in orthopedics. And actually, I should update this. I have done 6 years of emergency department. I did the residency program at the University of New Mexico Hospital, where they actually place you. You're not hired to a direct unit until it's like a specialty program. So they put you on specific floors to help you prepare for like wherever you want to go, if that's ICU, emergency department, peds, L&D, psych, whatever specialty it is that you are looking into. Again, I guess I should have updated this. I'm almost pushing my 2 years out here in the Bay Area. Let's see, I have been to Washington State, actually just got back from that contract, and I'm actually right now back in San Francisco again. I love it out here, but I do have to go away at some point so I don't, have to pay back the IRS $1 million. My passions in my, life and in my career, international travel. I'm really, really, really big on traveling the world. That's how I actually combat my nurse burnout, work hard, play hard. I love raves, music festivals all across the world, Mother Nature, hiking, really just enjoying my life and working to afford my lifestyle. And travel nursing definitely plays into that as you are able to work and travel to amazing places. So what is a travel nurse? So for those of you who are new here, or even for people who don't really know too much about travel nursing, a travel nurse is basically a nurse, a ready-to-go nurse who has prior experience in their specialty that shows up to a hospital that has a need. So most of the time, you can see on the side, most of the time, hospitals are in need, especially right now for COVID. Hospitals are overflowing with COVID patients and they don't have the adequate staff to take care of these COVID patients. So that's definitely a hot thing right now. But other things such as like short staff, we're going to forever be short staffed, maternity leave, expected leave of absence, and just like overall, like just the need of the hospital is just higher than what the staff is that they have there at the hospital. So they're, again, hit the ground running nurses. You already have to have prior experience. Usually most places are expecting you to have 1 to 2 years of experience in your specialty. And it's really important to have that experience just because you get 1 to 2 days of orientation and that's it. If that, some people even get 30, truthfully, 30 minutes of orientation, an hour of orientation, half a day of orientation, and then you're just kind of thrown out to the wolves a little bit to kind of figure out how to take care of patients, and everything's brand new. So it can be a little scary in the beginning, but it definitely teaches you the resilience that you have as a human being and as a nurse. So why to do travel nursing? This is so different for everybody. So travel nursing for myself is freedom and flexibility first, the money second, and then just really advancing my career and I'm not trying to go to NP school or anything, but really trying to build new skills and really push my limits or boundaries of being a nurse on what I learn in certain hospitals, as every hospital is different. As you guys can see at the bottom, there's a bunch of different reasons that you can do travel nursing. You can find your new home. Let's say that you're in Florida and you want to move to California for whatever reason. Instead of packing up all your stuff from Florida and moving to California, you can just take a 3-month contract, 13-week contract, really get to know the area and decide for yourself, is this the hospital that I want to be in? Is this the area I want to be in? Money is another big one. I know a lot of people who aren't travel nurses right now are seeing those big money contracts. Those are very specific to COVID. If once you get into travel nursing, you'll kind of realize that the market goes up and down. It's very, very volatile. We actually saw that a lot with COVID, just the rates going up and down and up and down. Even nurses were out of jobs for a little while. It was actually kind of interesting. But the travel nurse market, hold on real quick. Sorry, something just happened. The travel nurse market is very volatile sometimes, but otherwise you will always have a job. Just as a nurse, period, you will always have a job. Go to the next slide. So what is the difference between permanent and travel? This is a big, 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 big thing to pay attention to, just because you really have to know what it is that you want from travel nursing. Again, knowing your why is very, very important, just because this lifestyle is so different than permanent staff. The patient care and everything is very much the same. Abdominal pain, appendicitis is the same in one hospital versus the other, but there's just a lot of changes like policies and how to take care of those patients, how to call doctors. So it's a lot of change. But permanent staff will start first. The orientation time for permanent staff, I'm sure for those of you who are nurses on here, it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months to be oriented. Versus travel, you get 1 to 2 days orientation. And during COVID times, you kind of get lucky if you get that 2 days of orientation. It really depends on the hospital. I will say I judge a hospital based off of how long their orientation period is. To me, it really shows how much they're willing to invest in someone who is not at their hospital. And how they want to set them up for success, again, depending on the situation at the hospital. Permanent staff is more in a very solid area. You have things set up as like a 403b, 401k. You get paid bi-weekly. You have PTO vacation, paid sick leave, all of those things. So you really have to ask yourself what place you are in your life. If you're looking to start a family, if you're looking to maybe try to be a nurse practitioner, like all of those things are possible with travel nursing. It's just going to require a little bit more strategy and a little bit more planning. So jumping over to travel, again, 1 to 2 days orientation. You get paid weekly, which is one of my favorite things when that money drops every Friday. These are 13-week contracts typically. Now during COVID, I've seen contracts up to 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 11 weeks. It really just depends on the need of the hospital, what kind of crisis they're in. If you're going to go on a crisis contract, if you're going to do a regular contract, you do get paid also very different. You get paid taxable income and non-taxable income. That's more of the depth of travel nursing, which if you do plan on doing travel nursing, it's very, very, very important that you understand that you need a tax home in your state or somewhere in the United States. You do need a tax home, and in order to qualify for those tax-free stipends that you will be getting. Unfortunately, with travel nursing, you don't have, I have private insurance right now, and you can actually do insurance with your agency, and you can also do just like benefits and everything with your agency, like 401k and dental and health and everything. So those are things that are kind of difficult if you do have like prior health issues. You can always figure things out, but that's definitely the big difference between permanent and travel. So the pros and cons, I think I've kind of already touched on this on the last slide, but the biggest pros, I put these as my biggest pros on the left-hand side. The tax-free money is amazing. Again, you have to have a tax home in order to qualify for the tax-free stipends. You could also do local contract, which I didn't mention and actually don't have in these slides from the last time that I did this webinar. If you want to do local contract, that's another really cool opportunity you could do in your area. Instead of, flying over from Florida to California, you could actually do, like, if you live in Florida or wherever it is, you can actually do a local contract in your area to maybe test out the water, see if it's something that you're interested in. No hospital politics. That is definitely one of my favorite things. I low-key hate hospital politics. I'm one of those people where I just go in, do my job, do it well, and try to fly under the radar of and I'm day shift, so it's really hard sometimes to fly under the radar, but I really hate hospital politics, and you're not attached or associated directly with a hospital. So you kind of just do your thing, show up, do your job, and then go home. I love it. I personally love it. To kind of, I guess, tie into my personal life right now, I'm in San Francisco. I plan to take off the whole month of May. So time off is definitely really important. I actually took off 3 months last year, and I really just budgeted for myself on what that could look like. So that's really a really cool opportunity when you are permanent versus travel, is you can decide whenever you want to take time off, budget for it, and then you don't have to work, which I think is so amazing. Like, number one, what profession lets you do that? And travel nursing just provides such an amazing opportunity to take so much time off, flexibility, freedom, and I'm all about having the freedom in your life. and having a job that allows that is so amazing. The cons, being away from home is really big. I'm a big family person, but the way that I look at it for myself personally is it's a small sacrifice for a greater outcome. If I'm away for 3 months, then I can go home for a whole month and spend a whole time with my family. Even if I wanted to do a local contract, I could drive home on the weekends or whatever days I had off. Being lonely definitely hits very different when you are a travel nurse. You are in a new place, new hospital, there's new people everywhere. Sometimes people will travel with significant others or just a friend, and that actually does help. I'm a solo traveler. The travel community is amazing, and I do have some resources after this webinar is over to give to you guys. If you're interested in the nursing/travel nursing community, I'm very, very, very tight with a lot of travel nurses, and I've met them all over Instagram and in the area, just reaching out and really making those connections. Moving frequently and obviously new to everything every 13 weeks. I think I've already touched on that, but the newness, the growing pains in the first 3 weeks of your contract are real, but it definitely builds up so much resistance, and it teaches you how honestly amazing we are as human beings and nurses to be so resilient and adaptable in this career. And I'm sure even for the being people on here who aren't nurses yet, you'll realize once you're in the career, that how resistant and adaptable you are to, or resilient, and adaptable you are to so many different things in your career. So the qualities of a travel nurse, these are pretty important when it comes to the success of being a travel nurse. You really have to be flexible. You're going to be going to new hospitals every 13 weeks. That is if you want to, if you don't extend at that hospital. And you really have to adapt to how it is that hospital does it. It's really difficult sometimes in the beginning to be like, oh, well, my old hospital did it this way. It's like, well, friend, you're at a brand new hospital. You kind of just have to do things the way that those hospitals are looking for you to do them in their policies and procedures and everything. Quick learner, you really have to be on top of your game with how quick you're going to be learning things, how quick you're going to be learning their policies and procedures. Again, give yourself a lot of grace with this. They don't expect you to know everything, but they do expect you to know what you're doing. Go with the flow is probably the most important one because it kind of ties all of these things together. The more you go with the flow and the less you kind of resist the crazy amount of change that you're about to be going through when you start travel nursing, the better it is for you in your travel nursing career. And honestly, in your nursing career in general, I think go with the flow is very much just a nursing trait. So travel nursing is definitely an adventure. It's actually, on paper, it sounds very easy to start. There are quite a bit of things that are behind the scenes, but I have listed all of these things below. You definitely have to be a nurse. That is important in being a travel nurse. You can actually be an LPN. You can have your ADN or BSN. I will say this, there is not a huge difference with travel nursing, whether you're an ADN or a BSN, which is kind of amazing because I know in some hospitals, especially with magnet hospitals, they are very particular about you having a bachelor's degree. And that's only for, the criteria of the hospital. It's not like when someone's coding, they're going to be like, hey, do you have an associate's degree or bachelor's? I low-key hate when other people hate on other nurses for having associates. So it's not necessary, and it's really great in the travel nurse world. They're not looking at whether you're ADN or BSN. So I think that's a good opportunity for if you do have your associates and you want to travel and you want to get out of your permanent staff position, they don't look at stuff like that. Getting that 1 to 2 year of experience in your specialty is the most crucial aspect of travel nursing. If you don't know what you're doing, please, please, please save yourself and the patient the stress and the unsafe practices of you going into the career right away. Just get that experience. Trust me, travel nursing will be there forever and ever and ever. I can't say ever, I guess, but it will be there for a long time, as nurses will always be, and hospitals will always be in a need and always be short staffed. So travel nursing will be there. Please get your experience. My rule of thumb is if you can take care of your sickest patients all by yourself, then you're ready to be a travel nurse. I do have people who reach out to me quite often about travel nursing, and they ask me, when is it that you know that you're ready? So being ready is not necessarily a feeling, but it's a decision. Being ready is a decision. You have to just say, I'm going to go for it. But you definitely have to ask yourself, if a crisis happens or if a patient is, circling the drain or whatever, am I going to be able to handle this on my own? Because in some hospitals, you are the main person to be taking care of your patient, and you may even be the one with the most experience, even if you have 2 years of experience. Some places are like that. So obviously this webinar is sponsored by NurseFly. So NurseFly is an important app. I mean, I think it's definitely a game changer. There are a couple other things out there that are similar to NurseFly, but NurseFly makes it very transparent and very easy to navigate on how to look for contracts. Once you are starting to actually look for contracts, what happens is you build one profile for NurseFly, and it actually goes out to several different agencies. So the way that travel nursing works is you should always be working with at least 3 to 4 agencies at a time to just definitely see what kind of contracts are out there, what kind of rates are being offered, so you can get to know the travel nurse market. And NurseFly makes that super transparent with not only the pay, but you can actually pop on and talk to a recruiter. And if you don't want to talk to them anymore, you can pop off or get off the chat, which is really great because sometimes some recruiters can be really aggressive, but I've had actually nothing but good experiences with recruiters. You just kind of have to know what to negotiate and how to talk to recruiters. And then obviously, once you set all that up, you land your first job, you're ready to go, and you start your contract, and that's when the fun and adventure begins. So picking a specialty, I wrote below the highest paid specialty. So it's usually cardiac, cath lab, L&D, OR, CV, ICU, neonate, or NICU, ED, and telemetry. It's not necessarily in that order, but I do know that L&D, it always pays buku bucks. I don't know what it is, but they just pay so well. Currently with COVID, CV, ICU, any kind of ICU experience, honestly, medical, surgical is getting top dollar because that's where our COVID patients are staying the longest, is in the ICU. And honestly, they deserve it. They are working very, very hard. Not saying that the rest of us nurses are not, but they are definitely working very hard in the ICU. Again, I will keep stressing, you do need that 1 to 2 years of experience in your specialty. And it's what I will say again, and I'll keep honing in on this, is how comfortable you feel in your skills to be able to take care of the sickest patients on your own. And I'm talking about sick patients. I'm not talking about like someone who is just going to be managed and like maintained over the shift. It's going to be definitely someone who's crashing. You're going to be able to help and like know what you're going to do, and then whatever the follow-up care is. So you definitely just really have to know what you're doing. Let me see. So there's a difference between agencies. So not all agencies are created equal. NurseFly, again, makes it super easy and transparent for you to see the pay and so I guess I can break it down like this. Smaller agencies don't have as much overhead to pay. They are a very small agency. They don't have like a bunch of people to pay for finance, and like they don't have a bunch of recruiters on board, versus like the larger agencies may offer more resources at times, but they definitely have a lot of overhead staff to pay. So sometimes when you're working, sometimes, not always, when you're working with a larger agency, you may not get paid as much because all of that overhead cost is also going to pay all those overhead people, versus with the smaller agencies, you also get like a mom and pop feel, almost like a very personal relationship with your recruiter. With the smaller agencies, again, not always, it's very specific. I did want to touch on this with the agencies. Your recruiter is more important than the agency. If you have a good recruiter that will like go to bat for you, will fight for you to have a good pay package and everything, that is more important than the agency itself. You really want to have a good relationship with your recruiter. Some people are like BFFs with their recruiter. I personally don't like that because I don't like to mix like, personal life with business. And this is very much a business aspect for me. So it really depends on what you want. I'll also say a nice recruiter, and I'm using air quotes with a nice recruiter doesn't always mean a good recruiter. It's someone who is transparent, advocates for you, and is there for you when you need them, and responds within a timely manner. Those are all really good traits of recruiters. And that's, if you're catching red flags in the beginning of talking to a recruiter, even if you don't know that much about travel nursing in the beginning, find somebody else, because those red flags will continue to show up. And it is such a struggle when you don't have a good recruiter. So updating your resume and applying for your first job, make sure you have an updated resume. When it comes to travel nursing, you don't need to have like a fancy schmancy resume, but you do have to have it kind of tailored to travel nursing, or just like your nursing career in general. Like they don't really care that you were like in a sorority in college, or they don't care about like the things that you participated in college. They more care about like what kind of experience do you have in nursing and how will that apply to the job that you are applying for. This is all you can on your profile on Nursefly, this can all be created, and it kind of tailors things for you. And when you're starting to look for a location, you start browsing. As you can see on this slide here, when you're looking for contracts, you can actually filter out the way that you want to look for a specific contract. So I guess I can look on the bottom here, Baltimore, Richmond, Los Angeles, San Antonio. You can look above, you can do like in the Pacific, Mountain, Midwest. You can also look at like, what's the quality of life? What's the cost of living? Because I know those things are really important for people, as I know they're really important for myself. I mostly follow adventure. Some people follow money, some people follow city. So it really depends. And it's really great that Nursefly has that set up and kind of just makes it more transparent and easier for the user to find a contract of their choice. And then to compare and negotiate offers. So again, travel pay can be complex, but definitely take the time and learn how travel nurses get paid. Again, the taxable income versus the non-taxable income. If you're working local, you usually have to get all of your pay taxed. Again, if you guys have questions about that, you can go to traveltax.com, and I'll actually reference all these things after the after the webinar, when we go to the Q&A of the resources that I use. So you actually know that you can qualify for those tax-free stipends. And then understanding things like sick days and cancellations of the facility. As I know with COVID, some contracts are still being canceled, but that's just kind of the name of the game when you're with travel nursing. You kind of have to know what you're signing up for. Cancellations aren't super common. They have become more common with COVID, but they're usually not as common as people are making it seem. And then landing your first job, again, being a travel nurse is a whole, like, when I say like you are a whole new breed, you are a whole new breed of nurse. And this isn't to knock permanent staff, because bless up, I actually do miss permanent staff for its like reason, or very specific reasons, but travel nursing is just so much fun. It definitely is a game changer when it comes to your lifestyle and life. It is a whole new lifestyle. When I'm talking about, like I said, patient care is the same, but nursing or travel nursing lifestyle is very, very different. Actually, this picture right here on the right hand side, my friend Mark, he's holding the You So Fly flyer there, the sign, Nurse Fly for Nurse Week last year. Sent over, or had me distribute out some food cards to nurses on the front line. And he messaged me that same day and was like, thank you so much for sending us that money. There was like a really low, our team was really just low that week, and definitely like helped us, because obviously the what is it called? The permanent staff and like I'm trying to think of the word here. Sorry. The management. Thank you. The management really didn't do anything for them for Nurses Week, and their rapport was really low, and that really helped them out. So factors that come into play with landing your first job, sorry, to get back to the slide. Timing is really important when you're applying for your job. Some recruiters will pressure you into applying for something because they'll say, it's going to go really soon. It's going to go really soon. Don't worry about that. If it's everything works out. I'm telling you, in travel nursing, everything truly works out the way that it's supposed to. You really just have to trust and advocate for yourself. But in terms of timing, if someone applies, like 10 minutes before you, and they're really looking to fill that spot, sometimes that person will take it over you. You shouldn't stress about those things as much, just because if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and you just kind of got to go with the flow, like I mentioned before. Your profile is very important, obviously, for experience reasons and just overall education certifications. you really have to make it not seem like you're a good nurse. You have to know you're a pretty good nurse to go into this, but you will continue to grow and learn. And it's really cool because travel nursing and your agency will usually pay for a lot of those certifications if you ask them to. And they'll pay for your licenses for free, which is amazing, especially if you don't have a compact license. Your interview, every agency has a different interview process. Some you actually record over the computer and it gets sent over. Some you do a phone interview, some you do a FaceTime interview. Sometimes they'll just offer you the job without an interview. Really depends. Again, talking about the job market, it's very volatile. It'll go up and down. Don't worry about that. You'll always have a job. It's just a matter of what it is that you need at that time for money-wise and location. And then pay and flexibility, my favorite part. The pay is really good most of the time, except in Northern California where I'm at right now. Most of the time, you will always get paid more than permanent staff. Just period. You get paid weekly. I'll use myself again as an example. In New Mexico, I think I was getting paid close to like $1,700-1,800 bi-weekly. On crisis contracts, you can get paid up to anywhere between $2,000 a week to $4,000 a week, just really depending on your specialty. But even before COVID times, I was getting paid $1,700, $1,800, $1,900 a week. So I was doubling my income for those 13 weeks. On this current contract that I'm on right now, I'm on crisis rate. I'm getting about close to like $4,000 a week, and I'm making about $5,700 per this 13-week contract. So this is why I'm able to take off months to kind of just do whatever I want. And I don't say that to brag. I say that to know that there is an amazing opportunity there to really pay off debt, pay off student loans, really just kind of live the lifestyle you want with the career that you already have. And then getting ready to go, man, this is the kind of stressful part. You don't need 6 suitcases to go with you wherever you're going. I literally live out of 2 suitcases. Everyone's a little bit different, but it's important to at least have the important documents with you. I have a specific folder that I bring with me every contract with like my social security, my passport, all my documentations that I need for like my licensing, my certifications. And some people actually have them on Google Docs on their phone or however you like to save your information. Excuse me. So whenever the agency or someone, let's say at the hospital, needs your information, it's ready to go and you already have it with you versus leaving it at home. That's a big no-no. Be careful with that. Clothes, it really depends. Like, I mean, if you have a credit card and there's stores around you, you can definitely buy whatever you need if you didn't bring enough with you. But it really just depends on the location that you're going. If you're going to Hawaii, if you're going to California, if you're going to Denver, the cool parts is you can always just, you know, rent things wherever you are. There's definitely some hidden costs that come with travel nursing in the beginning, like deposits for rent and like, you know, little things here and there for the apartment that you are or place that you're going to be staying. But otherwise, it's really a good idea to bring things that remind you of home, because definitely, I know talking earlier about being lonely on contract is a thing. It helps you learn how to be really comfortable with yourself. It's a really good opportunity to grow and really get to know yourself a little bit more, which is like one of the untold things about travel nursing, but you kind of just learn that along the way. And of course, a good attitude. You really, again, go with the flow type attitude. You'll just develop it over time. If not, you are going to have a very, very difficult time trying to adjust to travel nursing. You really just have to say, you know, this is a learning experience. I am here to just be molded into a better nurse instead of, you know, having a negative mentality of, oh, this isn't how we do it at my hospital. It's like, okay, again, this isn't your hospital anymore. This is an opportunity to grow and learn about what other hospitals do in other parts of the country. And if you hate it there, guess what? You're only there 13 weeks. So that was kind of like my hospital in Washington. It was a crazy hospital. I really enjoyed the hospital. I didn't really enjoy the staff all that much. They weren't really super friendly, and that was just a new experience for me because most of my contracts have been really good. Not saying they were bad to me or rude to me or anything, but just the nurses didn't really help out they didn't even help out each other, and that was really foreign to me. So you'll learn different things about different areas, and it just kind of, again, molds you into a better nurse. Oh, I guess I should go back to the bottom part. your agencies will, for the most part, pay for some expenses, most expenses. Mine currently pays for like $300 to get like a relocation cost. So $300 to my location and $300 back home. Some places or some agencies will pay up to $1,000. It just really depends on your needs, but you have to have the documentation for those things. This, if you guys ever want to take a picture of this, you're more than welcome to. Really be easy on yourself and give yourself a lot of grace when you are starting in your first contract. Again, new people, new place that you're living, just new everything. And whenever you try something new, your ego will pull you back a little bit and want to like put you back in your comfort zone, but just sit in that discomfort for a little bit and really know that you're going to be able to get through it. And trust me, when you finish that first contract, you're going to look back and be like, holy crap, I can't believe I just did that. I'm a badass. Learn the basics, of course, with taxes, with travel money is super important. Again, just knowing what a tax home is and understanding the taxable income versus the non-taxable income, that is like a something you should absolutely know and definitely be honed in on. Open attitude and friendly. You will feel overwhelmed. Again, I guess I'll go back to the first one where I say be easy on yourself. Yeah, you will feel like a new grad every single time. It is totally normal. Again, being outside your comfort zone is a part of travel nursing. That's really uncomfortable in the beginning, but you really adjust over time. It's important to introduce yourself to everyone. Hi, my name is ReyAnn. I'm a new travel nurse here, or I'm a travel nurse on your unit. I'm here to help you. People really respond to that well, because there are some travel nurses that come into the unit, show up, go home, whatever, and to each his own, but it's really important to introduce yourself to the doctors so they know who you are. So they're just comfortable with understanding that, you're there to help them and you're not there to, flaunt it in their face that you're making more money or whatever the situation is. It's more, I'm here to help you and I'm here to be on this team. And then please ask questions. There's no stupid question. I still ask questions even on contracts that I've been on for a long time, even until the last day. What is this policy? How do we do this? How do we transfer a patient out? Please ask questions. You won't know until you ask. If someone thinks you're stupid, great. Who cares? Like, you're going to get your answer and then you just keep going on with your day. And then advice before you dive in, I've touched on this quite a bit, but the biggest thing for me is knowing your why. If you don't know why you're doing travel nursing, whenever the days get tough, which they will, you're not going to be able to really push through as much as I think is when you do know your why. If it's for the money, you just tell yourself, hey, this is a rough day, but I'm going to be able to pay off my student loans by the end of this. If it's for flexibility and taking time off, you say, woo, this 13 weeks was rough, or this one day was rough, but don't worry. I get a whole month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever it is, however much time off you want after this contract. So these are all things to look forward to. And plus just getting their overall experience of travel nursing. And then again, choosing your specialty wisely. I'm so sorry I didn't touch on this a little bit earlier. If you are thinking about travel nursing, please choose a specialty that you see yourself doing for a while, especially if you plan to do travel nursing for a while. You are unable to change your specialty while you are traveling. If I'm emergency department, I can't be ICU, I can't be peds, I can't be urgent care, I can't do any of those things. If I'm ICU, sometimes you are able to go to the emergency department to be floated, or med surg to be floated. If you're med surg, sometimes they will float you to ED, but again, you're not, when you sign a contract, you're not able to, if I'm ED, I'm not able to sign it for ICU, or I'm not able to sign it for cath lab. So if you feel burnt out in your specialty, let's say you're med surg and you're looking for a change, travel nursing is a really good opportunity to kind of dive deep into, are you burnt out, or you really just hate your facility and you hate management? It's the truth, but sometimes it helps for a little bit and then you just realize you actually hate nursing. That's definitely something that people have run into. So again, know what specialty you see yourself in for a long period of time. And then my why, so the two individuals on the right-hand side, have been looking into travel nursing for a while. The girl holding the sign, the middle sign, is my friend Emily Chang. She's a big like nurse influencer. I even think that's a weird thing that you can say, but she's a nurse influencer who does a lot about like mental health and environment. She's like an environmentalist. She's actually stepped away from the bedside right now. She just started her new app, MedVenture, which is super exciting. And then the gentleman holding the other sign. His name is ReyAnn. He is a huge advocate for community, for in nursing and especially in travel nursing. I'll definitely drop some Instagram handles just so you guys can follow them for, some resources for community, as I think nursing is like it's a mini cult, is like I like to call it, where we all, will have each other's backs no matter what, because we're all in this like little gang that, can't be messed with at times. If you say something mean about nurses, we're going to come for you. And the middle picture of the Golden Gate Bridge, that's actually my backyard, basically. Is I literally walk outside, and Baker Beach and the Golden Gate Bridge are right outside my back door. So that's really cool opportunity to live in some amazing places. I got the opportunity to take time off to go to Vietnam pre-COVID. That's that middle bottom picture. Such a blast. I went to Yosemite, that bottom right corner, literally on a weekend trip. It's like a couple hours away from San Francisco. I've been a couple of times now. I'm actually climbing Half Dome, which that's my second time climbing it. I just absolutely love Yosemite. And then music festivals, obviously in the left upper hand corner. I love the lifestyle that travel nursing allows me to live, and the flexibility period that nursing allows me to do. You don't necessarily have to be a travel nurse to do all of these things, but you definitely do get more of an opportunity when you are a travel nurse to just have more of that freedom and flexibility. But this is my why. There would be like a money sack on the side because the money is pretty good too. So that's not my number one why, but it is definitely nice to have a financial security. So questions that are commonly asked: how do I become a travel nurse? What experience do I need? How do I find housing? God, that's such a big one. How do I find housing? Can I work in different specialties? Is travel nursing hard? How do I find an agency? These things can all be found online. However, if you want to ever talk to travel nurses who have experience, or if you want to talk to me about like my recruiter, I love referring people to my recruiter just for questions. You don't even have to sign a contract. You don't have to do any of that. Just to ask questions to at least get them answered by a professional. And then how to get started. So again, this is sponsored by NurseFly. NurseFly has been a really pivotal app and really pivotal website for travel nurses, and making it very transparent and streamlined for you to be able to see how the contracts are broken down. You get to talk to recruiters, any type of recruiter. You just build that one profile, and you're able to talk to several different recruiters rather than having to set up profiles with several different recruiters. So that makes it a lot easier, whether you just have that one profile versus like 5. You can download all your documents onto there. It's just like a one-time thing where all of your information is on there. Of course, you have to update over time if you get like new certifications and stuff, but it just makes it easier for you to access different recruiters. So Shay had mentioned in the beginning that they're offering a free virtual yoga class March 5th. I'm really sad that I'm going to be working, because I would really love to join the yoga class, as I know that mental health and just taking care of yourself and just giving yourself the space to really process things, and just period, take you some me time, like #treat yourself to a freaking free yoga class. So see the registration link in the chat. I think Shay is going to put that up. Also, I think they're going to be sharing it on their Instagram. So you can also follow them on their Instagram to see when or what the link is for that class. And I think that's the last slide. So I will go to questions. So yeah, if you do have any questions, please leave them in the chat, and I'm going to be taking a look at them. I hope that more or less answered a lot of the questions that you guys have. Travel nursing, you kind of, is just one of those things that you learn as you go. Okay, so Edna asks, what if you have over 8 years in the ICU, CCU, but have been away from the bedside for over 3 years? Will the hospital have an issue with this? I think bedside nursing is like riding a bike. You don't need that much of an orientation. So Edna, that's a really good question. Thank you for asking. I don't personally have a lot of experience with being away from the bedside, so I would probably have to ask my recruiter about that. I do know that if you have that much experience in ICU and CCU, I would imagine that they would still hire you. If you have the experience and they have a need and you apply for it, like the best thing you can do is apply, right? And just put yourself out there and see what's going to happen. Once you set yourself up on the profile on NurseFly, or go with whatever agency it is that you want to go with, I think that they would be able to better answer that question for you, just because I don't want to steer you incorrectly. But I would imagine if you had that much work experience, that you would be like a great asset, especially to the ICU. However, ICU is looking a little bit different these days. Bless up to the new grad nurses who are just going into nursing, period. Like seriously, bless up to them. They are only working COVID right now for the most part. And yeah, it's just looking the whole nursing career is looking very different these days. I hope that I answered your question. So Andrew Brennan asked, I'm in critical care nursing with 17 years experience in Canada. Damn, that's awesome. Mostly between ICU, emergency cath lab, and med-surg tele. I have my Texas license, visa screen, and AHA, BLS, and ACLS. I'm seeking my first travel contract. Woo woo. The last pieces of red tape I need to navigate are the travel nurse visa and obtaining a social security. Okay, so Andrew, actually, TNAA, so TNAA, they specialize, I'm pretty sure, in Canadian nurses coming over to America. So I don't know if you've reached out to them at all. You definitely should call them. And I'm not too familiar with that process. I've definitely had a couple of people contact me about that. Again, don't want to steer you in the wrong direction, but I do know that TNAA really specializes in that. I actually have a point of contact if you want that information. If not, you can just call them and ask them how it would be to kind of facilitate that process for you. So Amy Sexton, how about social media? Do you recommend not having or blocking your social media, worrying about how it affecting your chances? This is my personal opinion about social media. If you feel, okay, so first of all, we are human beings, number one, and we are nurses, number two. You're never a nurse, number one. You are a human being and you are allowed to have your own life. If you're posting stuff about the nursing profession in a negative light, I'm talking aside from education, I'm talking like you are straight up dogging on the nursing profession and you are just, blasting them all the time, that's something very different. I've never had someone specifically come at me about my social media. I have like a TikTok where I do social or travel nursing content stuff, and like on my Instagram and stuff, it's all educational. And some of it obviously is talking about like martyr culture of nursing and like how that can be a negative impact on your mental health and so forth. But personally, like if you're posting like, bikini pictures, you're a human being first and you are a nurse second. You're allowed to have a life. And I've never seen that actually be or have a negative impact, other than if you're posting negatively about nursing. Obviously, period, across the board, that can just be hurtful in your career, because some people are a little they just like to snoop around on your social media and will report you. Again, never run into this situation. I'm sure other people have in the past. You just have to be really particular, period, just with social media, period, when you're in a profession such as nursing. I hope that I answered your question on that. And then Andrew Brennan had a follow-up. If anyone could point me in the right direction when it comes to Canadians navigating the travel nursing. Yeah, again, TNAA, reach out to them. I definitely know that there's quite a few blogs online about Canada to, I think bluepipes.com actually has some resources on there about getting your travel visa and how to get like your social security and everything. But yeah, please reach out to TNAA. They're a big resource for that. So Kim L, how long did you work as a staff nurse before you became a travel nurse? Great question. So some people, I'll talk about myself obviously, but some people just do a year of experience before they jump into it. Again, it's all about how comfortable you feel in your self and your skills. I personally had 5 years of experience before I jumped into it. I'm a very specific situation in that I actually loved my permanent job. I loved it. I miss it every single day. Not necessarily the permanent job aspect, but I miss the people. I miss the doctors. I miss the patients. I left for the adventure. I left because I felt stagnant. I felt like, even though I didn't know everything in the nursing career, that I felt like I wanted a change, but it took me 5 years. Some people literally will do a year and they jump right into it. It works for some people and then it doesn't work for others. So 5 years is the answer on that. Chris Sparts, I've been a nurse for 29 years. The last 15 years, I've been in infusion, SWAT, IV team, and home infusion. What a badass. That's awesome. My question is, the last 11 years I've been working in home infusion. Obviously, I have to be proficient in IVs, ports, and PICs to do that. Do I need to have recent hospital experience to get hired? It depends on what you're applying for. I don't know if, I'm not too familiar with like home stuff. But if you're looking to apply to like inpatient, or even, I'm not sure if they have too many outpatient, but I do know that they have outpatient contracts. You do have to have hospital experience. It doesn't mean that they won't hire you. It just means that it may take a little bit of fluffing of your resume to make it look like you've either recently worked in the hospital or that you've had 29 years of experience. I really hate to say this because it really does suck. Experience doesn't matter. Like, to have enough experience to start travel nursing is important, but experience period doesn't matter when it comes to getting chosen over one nurses versus the other. It's all about like credentials and the timing of when you apply to certain things. It's definitely a factor. Like, if they see that you have 29 years of experience, that's like, that's quite a bit of time to be in the nursing profession. But you don't get paid any differently when you have, let's say, 1 year versus 8 years. Travel nursing is just like a straight pay package offer. So definitely talk to a recruiter about that. They'll be able to give you more insight on that if you do need some kind of hospital experience, or if they would be able to hook you up on a contract where you don't need that immediate hospital experience. Let's see, Stephanie Curtis, what were you saying about paying money back to the IRS? So I only mentioned that because some nurses are playing with fire when they don't have a tax home. And it's really hard for me to talk about tax home because I'm not a tax professional. So please don't take any of my tax information as like set in stone, because I'm not a tax professional and I actually hire someone to do my taxes because of that reason. But if you are, you have to be able to qualify in having a tax home. There's like very specific criteria that you have to have in order to qualify for the tax-free money for travel nursing. So let's say that you're doing a local contract at home. So I'm originally from New Mexico. So let's say that I am traveling locally in New Mexico. I no longer am able to qualify for that tax-free money. I have to be at least 2 hours away from my tax home, which is usually your permanent address, but not always. You have to in other words, you can't like go home every night to rest your head on your pillow, or else technically that's not considered travel nursing. So you wouldn't be able to qualify for that tax-free money. You would have to get all of that money taxed. So it's basically like the way you would get paid as permanent staff, but technically you would still be getting paid more most of the time. Local contracts are usually for people who kind of want to get their feet wet, or sometimes, again, they even do get paid more than permanent staff because you are getting paid weekly, even though you are getting taxed the whole lump sum versus the taxable money versus the tax-free money. But if you are playing with fire and you don't qualify for the tax-free money, and then you're still taking that tax-free money, that you're not telling your agency the correct things about your tax home, if the IRS does an audit on you, you're going to be owing thousands of dollars back to the IRS. And we work really hard for our money as nurses. And I think that me personally, I don't want to be paying anybody back any extra money. So I just am very careful with my taxes. So Rita Benifo, I hope I'm saying that correctly. How often must you return to your home tax to prevent paying more in taxes? So you actually, again, traveltax.com has a frequently asked questions page. Please, if you're looking into travel nursing, go to traveltax.com and look on that frequently asked questions. You can actually even set up an appointment with them and have a tax home consult with them. I think it costs like $20 to make an appointment with them, and they'll let you know if you have a tax home or not. But you do have to return home 30 days out of the year. If you have a per diem contract or a per diem job at home, if you're making most of your money, taxable money in that state from your per diem job, you don't technically need to qualify, or you don't technically need that tax home, because you're making still most of your money with that per diem job. Travel taxes are very complex. So if some of you are very confused right now, you're like, what the hell is she talking about? I hear you. Trust me. It took me quite a bit of time to understand taxes when it comes to travel nursing. Please, traveltax.com, go on their frequently asked page. Please set up an appointment with them if you want to understand that a little bit more. I'm not a tax professional. Please don't come at me about that. But essentially, your tax home is where you have a lot of your financial ties. Chris Sparts, yes, inpatient infusion. Yeah, Chris. So definitely you would have to probably talk to a recruiter about whether you would need that inpatient experience prior to you starting an inpatient job. I would imagine you would have to have at least a little bit of experience. Richard Stoner, are more nurses find work as travel nurses due to COVID-19? Are they hiring for COVID-19 care and patients? And what are the nurses' responsibilities? Nurses are always going to be needed in the United States forever and ever and ever. We're always going to be short-staffed, always till the end of time. So for COVID, there are still some major hotspots. I know that where I'm at right now, actually San Francisco is going to be starting to open up even more coming March 1st, which I'm really excited for, but also kind of nervous. It really depends on where you are and what the COVID numbers look like. I know like even in Texas, COVID numbers are still kind of high, like in El Paso. One of my friends is on a crisis contract out there. She said the numbers are decreasing, but overall they are still calling nurses in for backup. Everywhere you're going to have COVID patients. So it really depends on what contract you want. If you're asking, are they hiring specific for COVID-19 care? Yes, they still have COVID contracts. COVID contracts across the US. It looks like the rates right now are starting to go back to pre-COVID times. Again, the market is very volatile. So it will go up, it will go down. If we do see another spike, then we'll see more crisis rates. Hopefully people will be paying, nurses better overall in permanent staff and in travel nursing, but that's just kind of up to, unfortunately, the hospitals and the agencies. I hope that answered your questions. Oh, the nurses' responsibilities for COVID-19. I can't really answer that, I guess, or specifically for that anyways, is because COVID-19 looks different everywhere. It's going to look different in California, than in Michigan, than in Florida, than in Texas. The responsibilities of a nurse kind of are the same everywhere, but some places are a little bit more unsafe than others, and your scope of practice sometimes will be pushing the limits a little bit. Again, it really depends on the facility that you're working at. And then Kelly Myung, please, I'm so sorry if I butcher your guys' names. I'm really not trying to. My name is Kelly. I have no bedside experience. I have been a nurse for close to 4 years and have been working one-to-one in homes and working in outpatient clinics. I want to do travel nursing. How do I go about it? So Kelly, for your specific situation, I know that sometimes there are outpatient travel nursing gigs, but if you do, they're kind of unicorn contracts, to be honest. In that they're not super easy to find and not super easy to always be accessible. So if you're looking to go inpatient, you do need that inpatient experience. So at least up to a year in a specialty that you see yourself in. My personal opinion is to go to a level 1 trauma center where you're going to get high acuity patients. Sometimes it's really hard to get into those if you've never had inpatient experience, but just apply everywhere you can and just really get that inpatient experience. Stephanie Curtis, yeah, you're welcome. I hope that I answered that question for you. Yolanda Arroyo. So do you have to work at least 30 days in your home base? So no, you don't have to work 30 days in your home base. You have to return back to your tax home 30 days out of the year. It does not have to be consecutive, but you do have to have proof that you returned back to your home base. Again, I'll keep dropping this, traveltax.com. Please, please, please set up an appointment with them. I don't sponsor them or by any means, and this is not to sponsor them at all, but they're just such an important, or travel taxes is such an important thing to really understand and know what you're doing. So yes, you do have to return home 30 days, not consecutively, and you do have to have documentation, or if you ever are audited, that you actually return home in that time. Amy Sexton, please clarify about the outpatient contracts. Are they few and far in between, like outpatient surgery, PACU, pre-op, GI, lab, etc.? Let me read that again. So outpatient surgery stuff, I'm not too familiar with the contract because I'm inpatient all of my career in the emergency department. PACU always has contracts, pre-op always has contracts, GI lab usually has contracts as well. Sometimes they are far and in between, only because it depends on what the job market looks like during that time. PACU is always usually in need though. That's usually inpatient stuff. I know one of my friends did like a GI outpatient day surgery, which is like a unicorn job, but somehow she found it. So if you just look, sometimes you can find something, but if you're looking for longevity purposes, like contract back-to-back contracts, like it may be a little bit difficult for you to find those contracts back-to-back. If it's PACU and pre-op and OR and stuff, you will not have a difficult time with that. But outpatient stuff is more difficult to find contracts than inpatient. Amia Smith, how does transportation to and from location work when you reach travel location? So I think I'm not sure exactly what you mean on that question. Let me read it again. Hold on. Okay, so I think you're asking like how is cost covered? I'm not sure. I hope that's what that means. So for me, if I usually fly to my contracts and I'll rent a vehicle, or you just have to budget things out for yourself. I've definitely I've never driven to my locations because I'm bougie and I really don't like to travel in my car more than 6 hours anywhere because it's just like, why? But some people love it for the adventure. I've shipped my car many times, actually shipped my car out here just recently. So you have to ask yourself how it is that you want to get from location to location. Depending on what your agency covers, some agencies cover $1,000 one-time fee for a relocation to and from. My agency covers $300 one way, $300 back. I have to provide documentation for my specific agency on like a flight bill, or if you're driving, like they cover, is it miles per hour or something like that. So there is a way that that cost is covered. If you're talking about deposits and stuff for like apartments and stuff, that is kind of something that you have to pay out of pocket first until you get paid at that actual contract. Let's see. Oh, Vanessa Cham, I'm sorry. I think I missed your question. My apologies. I have 4 years experience in telemetry, but I am interested in going into other specialties. Does travel nursing give opportunity to try other specialties? The answer is no. That would be really cool if it did. It does not. Sometimes they can float you to other units. Let's say that you do take a telemetry contract. They do, or they can float you to other units like med surg, or even something a little bit higher up, like a step down unit or something like that. But no, you cannot try out other specialties. Like you could never go to ER, you could never go to ICU, you could never go to cath lab. If you do want to do travel nursing, please, please, please do it in a specialty you love, because if you love travel nursing and you want to continue, it's going to suck if you're in telemetry and you hate it and then you're having to do that, but you still have a good time travel nursing, but you hate your job while you're working. That honestly is the opposite of what you want to be doing.
Hey, ReyAnn.
It looks like, let me go to the actual chat. So there might be some more questions in here. And thank you everyone who's come onto the webinar. I'm so happy that there's 43 of you. That's so awesome. I'm so sorry I didn't get to read where everybody was from, or your specialty. Let's see, it's gonna take me a quick second. So please let me just get through these questions. Let's see. Oh, Catherine Barkley from Houston. So your specialty is PACU, hoping to do travel nursing half the year and partially retire to be closer to your family in Canada. Please do it. Please do it. You can work really high paying contracts, just like you do have to kind of, if you're going to do really high paying contracts, even pre-COVID, you kind of go to rural areas where you just, bang it out, get that coin, and then kind of take your time off. I even have friends who have Sorry, I even have friends who just work 6 days or 6 months out of the years, and they just kind of figure that out for themselves. Let's see. Shay, are we okay on time?
We do need to kind of wrap up, but we can answer just a couple more. I know that Catherine was also
Shay,
wondering
you there?
about, can you hear me?
Hold on. I'm not sure if they're still on. Sorry, everybody. Let me keep reading through these. Oh, perfect. Shay, you're on. Perfect. Thank you. Oh, tell me more about your private health insurance plan. Ugh, oh my God, you guys, insurance is stupid. American health insurance is so stupid. Sorry, that's just my personal opinion. I actually have someone who I reached out to just recently. I just recently started private health insurance. So it really depends on like what your needs are. You can reach out to me probably on a personal message because it's going to be hard to explain over this. It'll take like hours to talk about. How long did I work on staff before I became a travel nurse? 5 years. I think I mentioned that before. Do you recommend doing travel nursing with children? Sorry. I'm reading another chat. I really apologize. So it really depends. It requires a lot of planning. There's so many different ways that you can travel nurse. I know people who travel with their family. So they actually like their husband or their wife will homeschool in like an RV, or they'll bring their whole family to wherever it is that they're going. It does require a lot of extra planning. Bless up to you parents in general. So it does require a lot of planning, but it's possible, totally possible. Anything's possible. So in the chat on the side, there is a registration link for the yoga. So please feel free to sign up for that. Amicia Hogan's, I have 18 years experience, LPN, but no particular specialty. I have worked in several areas of nursing. What advice would you give as far as choosing a specialty and getting more experience in a particular specialty? I hold the Florida multi-state license. So I would say just really try to figure out what you want to be, what kind of specialty you want to be in terms of what kind of patient population you see yourself in. I don't really know if I can answer that question for you. You kind of just have to experiment and see what is interest of you. Florida multi-state license, that's really awesome that you have that. Definitely reach out to some recruiters or agencies on NurseFly or just other agencies period and see if they can tailor you in the right direction. Specialty wise, again, just make sure it's something that you really enjoy. Nursing is hard in general, but just really be in a specialty that you really enjoy or can tolerate. I'm Shad from Michigan, been an RN since 2006. I've not worked since July 2020, and both BLS and ACLS have expired. Do I need to do research before job placement? If so, will they be out of pocket? Yes, they will probably be out of pocket, Shad. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I'm so sorry. They do probably need to be out of pocket first, and then you can always talk to your recruiter or agency about getting those costs covered. You can also talk to a recruiter before you actually go through with those classes and say, hey, this is my situation. My research have already lapsed. If I do get the recertifications before I start the contract, will they be covered? But honestly, you'll hopefully be making pretty decent pay to where like the money won't be that big of an issue to pay for them. I know certifications are expensive. However, just ask your agency if that's something that they do cover, because I do know that some agencies will cover those recertification costs. If you just ask, they'll put it in your contract. My name is Kelly. I don't have any. Let's see. I think I answered your question, Kelly, in the Q&A. Let's see. Catherine Barkley, I'm not good at computer documentation. Will this be a problem? I know there are several different systems out there. Most hospitals, it's really hard because every hospital is different. Most hospitals will have a day or a half of a day about charting. Most of the time, you just have to figure it out as you go along. I hate to say that, but you really have to hit the ground running with a lot of these things. I came from Cerner at my hospital, my home hospital, and then I went straight to Epic, and then I've only been with Epic since. So you do get a little bit of training on the documentation, MAR, or whatever it is system that you're using sometimes, not always. So if you're a little bit nervous about that, you can always reach out to the person who's orienting you on contract, but you really have to ask those things before you sign that contract. Central Myers, who sets up where you stay and how does the company ensure safety? Do you get food and transportation reimbursement, or is it part of the pay? So I'll answer food and transportation reimbursement first. You get paid two ways, in the taxable income, and then the non-taxable income is your meals, incidentals, and lodging. You don't really get transportation per se. You could technically budget that in, but it's called stipends, your tax-free stipends, which is again meals, incidentals, and lodging. Um, let's see. They do, that's your non-taxable money. So they do technically pay for those things. Who sets them up? So the way that you make the most money as a travel nurse is taking that tax-free money and finding your own housing. If you actually take the housing with your agency, you don't get that non-tax housing money. So instead, you just get the meals and incidentals money. So the best way to make your most money is to go and find your own housing. There's so many resources now for travel nurses to find housing, like Furnish Finders, which is for fully furnished apartments or houses that you rent on a month-to-month basis. You can do Airbnb, you can do VRBO, you can be an RV nurse, you can stay with a friend. So there's just a bunch of different ways. They usually, when you take the agency's housing, it's usually in a nice area and it's usually a nice apartment or place. Usually, I've never taken agency housing, so I can't really say for my specific recruit or my specific agency. So Nicole Yang, how does someone gain experience if no one is willing to give you the experience? Oh, girl, are you a new nurse? Because that's a new nurse question, and I'm so sorry if you're running into that experience. Apply everywhere. Nicole, apply everywhere. Even if it's in a state that you don't see yourself in and you just need to get that experience, girl, just go and get the experience somewhere. Even if it's in a rural hospital. And I mean, it definitely depends on like what you're comfortable with, and like if you're comfortable with leaving your state and going to a different state. Because I know in California, it's really hard for new grads to find jobs just because, it's California, it's a huge state. There's just like so many people coming out of nursing school a year. So please just apply everywhere and then just interview and see if you happen to find a job somewhere. I really, really wish you the best of luck on that. Central Meyer, should I negotiate pay or is it set in stone? Oh, girl, negotiate left and right. There is a cap out on what you can receive in your non-taxable money though. So if you do cap out on that, not most agencies try their best to get to that cap out, but they can't always give you the highest amount of money just for IRS purposes. Sometimes they can up your taxable money instead. So yeah, negotiate. It does take some guts to negotiate, some courage to negotiate, but it's definitely your career. And if you know what your worth is, which you should, you're a nurse, definitely negotiate that cost. Nothing is ever set in stone unless you sign your contract, then you can no longer negotiate. Roberta Viviani, thank you for your information. You're welcome. Let's see. Do hospitals have restrictions on visible tattoos? Honestly, now at most hospitals that I've been at, you can just, show your art. You can just show whatever tattoos or piercings you have. Of course, you can't have like blaring pink hair and like you do have to be professional, but most places that I've been to, you're actually able to have tattoos even on your arms. Let's see. Rachel, you can use, I think that was shade to a panelist. Okay. What else do we have? Louisa, I like to travel a lot. Do you have a job for me? I love to travel too. Travel nursing is your thing. Get it out there. Does agency cover certifications like BLS, ALS, or ACLS? Yes, they do. You just have to ask them. Not all agencies do, so you really have to ask them beforehand if they cover those costs. Let's see. Oh, so my contact information. So I'm going to leave my Instagram handle in the chat. And then I will actually put my email below as well. Let's see. I hope it went through. It's at ReyAnn Moya. So that's my Instagram handle. And then my first name, my last name at yahoo.com. I left it in the chat below. So if you guys have any questions or want to contact me, please feel free to reach out. Andrew, I think you had one other question. So just following up here on the inquiry, as I happened to just talk to someone at TNAA, they do in fact deal with Canadian nurses unless they already have a social security number. Apparently the only agency that offers assistance to Canadians without social security is AMN. So for any Canadians seeking their first contract, they will need to take their first contract with AMN. Okay, understood. After you obtain your social security, you will then be able to deal with any other agency. You may want to share that for clarification in case there are any other Canadians on the call. Andrew, thank you so much for that information. That's actually really good for me to know as well, because I do get questions about Canadians wanting to come over to America. Why? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's really exciting news. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. How does transportation to and from location work when you reach travel location? Amia, I think I answered that question already, but I'll just kind of touch on it again. You have to set up your own transportation to and from. The agency doesn't do that for you. You have to figure out your own airfare, or if you're going to ship your car, or if you're going to drive it to the location, or however it is you're going to get to that location. They do actually pay for the relocation costs, though. Each agency has a cap out on what they are going to pay for your relocation fee. Amicia, yeah, you said it right. Why? I mean, America be friggin' doing some crazy stuff this last year, and I'm like, okay, if you want to work here, great. Just be conscious that America be wildin'. American healthcare be wildin' too, so just know what you're signing up for. But like, no hate at all. I love America. I love Canada. So please come over. We obviously need the help. Your contact info, please. It didn't come through. Okay, so I don't know. Shoot. So for anyone who's on the call, I'm gonna leave my email in the chat, but I'm also gonna say it again. So it's ReyAnnMoya@yahoo.com. Okay, so I will write it again to panelists and attendees. Whoops, that's probably why it didn't work. I apologize. I will leave my handle again, and then I will leave my email. I hope that went through that time. Does anyone else have any other questions? I think we are a little over the time limit, but I think we're pretty much done. Shay, I don't know if your audio is working.
Can you hear me? I guess it's not working, so I don't know.
I don't think your audio is working anymore. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate everyone's questions. I'm so happy to be a part of this webinar. Please reach out if you have any questions. And again, if you can't see my email address or my handle, reach out to NurseFly. They can probably hand over my information. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and thank you so much for coming, and take care.